Alright, I know Mark has plans to do this whole intro video talking about who we are and, what we're gonna do with this channel and everything, but, I don't know, maybe by the time this goes up, he's already made that and put it up, whatever, and maybe I won't even, post this anywhere. Who knows? Anyway, my name is Grayson. I am a member of the Quicksilver system. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I'm a fictive of Dick Grayson from DC Comics, also known as Nightwing, also known as the First Robin. I am annoyed. Particularly, I am annoyed by Twitter, which is not unusual. Twitter is extremely annoying. Why did we think it was a good idea to get a Twitter? Anyway, that's not the point of this. The point of this is I'm annoyed by a specific thing on Twitter. And that thing is certain systems trying to define or police the specific way that fictives should relate to our source characters. Because here's the thing. It's not going to be a one-size-fits-all thing. Every fictive, every system, we're all going to have our own ideas about what our relationship is to our source characters and, the language we want to use for that and, how we want other people to talk to us because of that. And so trying to say that we can't say that we are our source characters, or trying to say that if we believe that we actually are our source characters, then we're delusional or crazy. That is, it's just stop. It's not okay. You don't get to tell us how to relate to our source characters. You especially don't get to do that if you're not a fictive. If you are a fictive, then you can conceptualize that relationship however that you feel that makes the most sense for you, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the same as every other fictive, and that's whatever. But if you're not a fictive and you're trying to define this is what a fictive is, this is how fictives can or can't relate to their source characters, it's not your business, so you need to stop. I guess I should probably explain kind of how I see that relationship, because I look at canon Dick Grayson, or any of the variety of canon Dick Graysons. When your source is comics, everything's kind of a mess. But when I see canon Dick Grayson, it's like seeing a different version of myself. That's still me. It's just a different version of me. It's, we don't always act the same. We don't always believe the same things, and we often have different experiences, but that's still a version of me. It's not like this is some completely different person that I happen to share characteristics with. That is me in a way. It's not like, yes, this is like watching my memories play out on a screen or, on a page. This is another version of me who is going through either the same things I went through, or not at all the same things I went through, or, whatever. But it is still me in a way. And it's the same when I'm looking at, the source characters for my family. It's, that's not just some random person who happens to, look a whole lot like one of my brothers, or it's, that is a version of this person. And that can be difficult at times. We've had issues with seeing things play out in, source media that have been very disturbing and upsetting because of the relationship there between, whether that's your source character that you're watching something happen to, or that it's the source character of someone that you care about, someone that you love, and you're seeing something happen to them. It can be incredibly distressing, because it's not like, oh, I'm, seeing this happen to someone who is very similar to my brother or my father or whoever. That's happening to my brother, that's happening to my father, to my sister, to my friend. And there's that understanding that, okay, this isn't actually happening to that person who is in our system with us. It is happening to sort of a different version, but it still feels very real and very impactful. And I think that's what's pissing me off the most about this, is that when you say, oh, well, you're not really your source character, or fictives aren't really their source characters, is that you're trying to separate out that connection between how we experience the world and how we experience looking at our source characters. And you're trying to say, well, you have to think of them as a completely different person that you just like adopted some traits and memories from. And that's just not how it works, at least not for most of us. And again, there's a lot of variety. Not every fictive, even within our own system, feels this way about, their source characters. We have fictives who would rather not be associated with their source characters, or who see their source characters and their exo memories as not really theirs. And that's, like I said, every fictive is entirely valid in saying, this is how I see it, and this is how I define my relationship to my source character, even if and when that is different than how other fictives see it. It's even members within the same group are going to have different experiences and different views of how those experiences work. And so you can't try to say this is exactly how every fictive relates to their source character. That's never going to be true for everyone. It just isn't. And you have to respect that. And I think a lot of this is kind of the basis of some of the issues of some of the ways that people talk about my source character and the jokes that people make about him, and the reason that those affect me the way that they do. And I don't think I'm going to get into that right now, but I probably will at some point, because it's very pervasive and very annoying. I think that's where I'm going to end this for now. I have no idea if I'm even going to put this up. Who knows? I have no idea if this audio is even good. Alright, well, thanks for watching. My name is Grayson. I'd love to say it's been fun, but well, if you stuck around to the end, please like, subscribe, ring the bell. Are those all the YouTube things? I don't know. And good night.